Purpose isn't reserved for a chosen few. It awakens the moment you decide to answer your own call. This show is about inspiring you and helping you to remember that you also have a purpose. Welcome, Dr. Teresa. I'm so excited that you are here. On today's episode, we get to talk about a community leader who is leading with impact and looking to change the world.
Thank you so much.
That's kind of how I see you. Definitely paving the way for greatness for lots of young women. So let's get started by you telling our audience a little bit about you. Or what were some of the things about who you are that has led you to be this leader?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's such a beautiful moment to be here with you and to share my experience on your platform. So thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
I grew up in Belize in Central America, and I grew up with some phenomenal women in my life, including my late mom. And they were just really strong, powerful entrepreneurs, people who were just doing great things in our community. And I always knew that I wanted to be a change. I wanted to do great things in my community as well and help others.
Mhm.
Just seeing how these women were helping other women and other young girls around me at my early age. And so I grew up with that mentality that I want to be someone who can make a difference in the lives of others, who can help other girls who may not, feel like they're being seen or heard. And I just grew up knowing that one day I also wanted to be my own boss. And I was like, well, I don't know what route I'm going to take, but I did know that at one point I wanted to show others that it's possible to have a dream
Mm.
and to go for that dream without feeling like without having to worry about the world telling you that you can't do it. And so I, went to school, I took business classes, I got into leadership roles, and in those roles I realized that sometimes my voice wasn't heard. I was being seen. They saw how amazing I was with my work ethic, all the education that I brought to these jobs. But I wasn't being heard. Like, it was hard to get promotions. It was hard to move up. And so I wanted to make a difference in the lives of others that were coming up behind me
Mhm.
to kind of remind them of their purpose, to know their worth, most importantly. And I started this organization where I can now go around the world and teach young girls how to, number one, know their worth, and number two, how to create opportunities for themselves when there's none or when it seems like the doors are closed.
Sure.
And just again, going back to my upbringing, seeing how women were just creating their own opportunities when they didn't have, opportunities for themselves. And so that was really the foundation of how I got to this journey that
Sure.
I'm on of impacting other girls and empowering them to see their worth
Mm.
and to, number one, know that they can do and be anything they want to be. Yeah.
That's a beautiful message, and certainly in line with what we're trying to create here, which is to be able to share the stories, because I think that we each have a gift and a purpose. That's why we come here. And sometimes for many, it takes a while for them to kind of figure that out. And I love that your family and your ancestors really set the stage for you knowing what was possible. And so, one of my first questions has to do with what you said. You found yourself in these positions where you're being seen, you're making an impact, but you're not being valued in the way that really would have shown you that, yes, I'm completely being seen, I'm completely making a difference. Like you knew that was happening, but there were certain things that weren't happening. So you made a choice, and I would love for you to talk a little bit about that, because for a lot of people, when they're faced with not being recognized, not being valued, that really hits home in a way that that makes them continue not to shine or not to push forward. to get those opportunities. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. Oftentimes in your life, you come across a reason of wanting to do something different and to make a change. Or for some reason, they call it their why.
Mhm.
Why I started my nonprofit or why I ventured out and did something different. And so for me, that was my why. It was not being seen, not being recognized enough for the hard work that I've put so many years into. And um and so it made me feel like, hey, like if this is happening to me right now and I've been fighting for a raise or a promotion, what's going to happen to the generation that's coming up behind me?
Mhm.
Right. And so it hurt me a lot, because I can see the results. I can see all the hard work that I've put in, and I just wasn't moving up. I wasn't going anywhere. And so that was the point where I said, okay, I need to now step out on faith and just make a difference, and so that I can kind of stop this from going further with the
Sure.
next generation.
And I think that what I'm picking up from what you're saying, Dr. Teresa, is this idea of that when you're an entrepreneur, when it's your baby, when it's your gift, when it's your thing, that really takes away that place where somebody else is going to show you what you can and can't do.
Correct.
So is that a big push for, I mean, you already saw it with your mom and your family, but was that also a piece in terms of why the push for entrepreneurship with these girls that you serve?
Yeah, absolutely. And you have a valid point, because now you get to create. First of all, you get to create this opportunity for yourself, right? You get to build your business from the ground up. And now you get to actually also bring on a team of people and just help grow others while you're starting your business, empowering others to start theirs.
Mhm.
And having that openness to where now you feel like you're doing something, you're walking the talk, you're showing others that it can be done, without any, barriers,
Sure.
right? And so, yes, it was really important for me to head into entrepreneurship and now teach that,
Yes.
to show others that, hey, whatever gifts or talents you have, tap into it and create an opportunity for yourself.
Absolutely. I love it because, again, that goes in line with what I teach and what I'm all about, which is how powerful we are and that we can be, do, or have
Right.
whatever it is that's within our desire. Like,
Mhm.
I just love this idea of we don't get a desire without also getting the things from which to make it. So, if you can think back, what would you say were some of the key either values or qualities about who you were, either that you knew you had to develop pretty quickly in order to make this happen, or that you recognized within yourself that really made the difference for you to kind of put yourself out there?
Yeah, so again, growing up in Central America, where at that time there was not that much stuff that was just open for you, or not that much resources. You really had to depend on the people around you, to show you the way and to show you, hey, this is what we're doing. This is how we're making, a life for ourselves. And so again, seeing all of that was just like the foundation for me. But also just coming from a background where there's powerful, strong women. When, things are not working out, we find a way.
Mm.
And so for me, it was always about finding my way.
Mhm.
And along that way, also trying to navigate what works, what doesn't work, what do I need to tweak, what do I need to, implement. And I've just really been just trusting my faith, of course,
Mm.
with everything that I've been doing along the way, and just continuing to follow and walk in the purpose that I have, and that's been given to me, actually. So it's just been a really phenomenal journey. Again, now I know my worth. It took me a long time for that part to really settle in. I didn't know my worth back then.
Mm.
And so now I teach young girls about the importance of knowing their worth,
Yeah.
because it took me a long time for me to know mine. And it's just been a life changing experience.
So tell me a little bit about that. Tell me a little bit more about how you instill that within your in the girls that you serve.
Yeah. And, so a part of the programs that I teach, the leadership, entrepreneurship, just that confidence building and the life skills, a life self-esteem, right?
Mhm.
So once they have all of that, especially the confidence part, I think it's just really now knowing like if they're going out and whatever career path they take, and not because I'm teaching them entrepreneurship skills that they just have to be an entrepreneur. Like if somebody wants to be a flight attendant or a doctor, I encourage them to still continue on that path, but to also remember that it's always good to have something of your own, right?
Mhm.
And so, even if they go into a different career path, knowing your worth is basically just being able to say, this is what I'm bringing to the table. I know what I can offer, and this is what I need from you. And I need you to meet me where I am, and so understanding who they are as a person. It comes from that confidence that
Yeah.
they've built. Not being afraid to speak on the important things that would make them more happier if they went into this career field. This is what would make me happy. Here's where I would need to be, whether it's the pay or whatever it is. Like they just need to know that this is what I have to offer. Here are my credentials. I know what I'm worth.
Mhm.
And yeah, so it's really about being confident in yourself, having that self-esteem, number one, and then just really going for what you want
Yeah. Yeah.
without having any fear.
Yeah. I think that the piece that I'm recognizing that I'm not hearing you say is though it's the relationship that you have because you exude such confidence. You exude such a joy for life that I think that and I got to see that with the girls that you served since I did that presentation. Um, was just how you do exactly what you just said. You meet them where they are. You really help them to see that in this moment, they have everything that they need and then how to build on that.
Correct.
But really, um, I don't want you to shortchange yourself in terms of the relationship
The
that you have
relationship,
with
of
these
course.
young women, because I think that modeling of them in terms of who you are, how you show up for them, the consistency
Mhm.
and the caring that you show them. And also I think in the way that you do see them.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you touched on that because, I have girls that are in the program for over 5+ years.
Mhm.
They come back every year because of what the growth, what they're getting from the program, what they're getting from me as their mentor, as their coach. And I love that because, each year that they're growing, it really shows that they're, gaining, whatever information that I've shared with them over the years. They're growing, they're bringing in other friends with them. They're like, you need to be a part of this. It's changing my life. And that's the rewarding part for me. So that relationship that you talk about, it's key, it's important. And I love that, I have the programs every year because it keeps the momentum going. And
Sure.
it builds, it builds the relationship as well because now I'm not only like their mentor or their coach, it's like like we're family now.
Yeah.
Because now I can watch them grow. And I've seen so many of them now moving on to college, moving on, some of them are now going into their high school or because I start at an early age. So to see them develop and to grow and to have honor roll and to, their parents are reaching out to me like about their accolades. And that's just the rewarding part of it.
Sure, because you're
So,
getting to actually see what you're bringing to them and watching them blossom.
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so beautiful. So tell me a little bit, was there a particular person or situation that just solidified everything for you in terms of this is what I'm gonna do. This is my calling.
I mean, there were a few moments where I knew that I had to take this as a big part of my journey to empower girls and primarily girls that look like me, and when we talk about girls of color, we're talking about the entire spectrum, brown, yellow, red, just all our girls who sometimes, like I said earlier, don't feel like they're being heard, like they're not being seen. And so it goes back from my leadership experience in these corporate jobs,
Okay.
not being seen and not being heard and working so hard and putting in so many years and making a huge difference in sales and in the way and just turning a horrible store around to a top performing door, like all that stuff that I've done in the years that I've been in the corporate world.
Right. Right.
And not being seen for it. Yeah, and it's not even about the recognition. It's just really about, we hear you, we see your work, we want to move you on and we
Right.
want to take you up to the next level. And that was really the part where I said, okay, enough is enough. I'm gonna do something to help those who are coming behind me. That was the moment. And I've experienced that in several organizations. And so I knew that there had to be a turning point.
So it's a big mission that you're on.
I am.
And so you already experienced how challenging it could be, and now you've decided to go out there in this world. How challenging is it to actually run a not-for-profit for these young women? And I think this, so that's one question. And then the second part of that question is I'd love for you to tell me what transpired in terms of you going from those services in the community here in the Tampa Bay area to moving out and becoming more of a global empowerment
Of
coach and
course.
influencer.
Yeah. So the challenging part is always usually the financial part
Mm.
because when you're serving from your heart, you're actually pouring in from everything you have, so, getting the sponsorships, the grants, the funding, sometimes that can be a little bit challenging as a on a nonprofit side. And but at the end of the day, when you have the heart to serve, it's always me finding a way to still do it, to not let the girls down, to still, whether it becomes financially overwhelming, I'm still going to make sure that I commit to meeting with them and serving them and doing everything I need to do to keep the program going, right? And so in regards to the whole mission, the second part to your question, the mission is to impact 1 million girls
Mm.
of color around the world. And in order to do that, you have to go around the world.
Right.
You have to go across borders and impact others beyond borders. And so that is the reason why I've made it my mission to go to different countries and pour into our youths, not only locally in my community, but globally as well.
Sure. What has been challenging about that in terms of going into different governments and different countries and red tape and all of that?
Yeah, so of course there's always limitations to what you can do. I think what makes it a little bit more easier is when you align yourself with other organizations in these other countries that are that are doing this similar work that you're doing already.
Okay.
So when you can connect with an organization that has the same vision or maybe somewhat of a similar mission to yours and you collaborate, it makes it a little bit more easier
Yeah.
to now go in and say, let's work together.
Sure.
Let's make this bigger. How can we, broaden our borders? Like, to
Yes.
bring,
Yes.
yeah, because ultimately the goal would be to, bring some of the girls from here to other countries, just for that, also for that cross cultural experience as well. But, that's somewhere down the line once we have the funding to do so. But again, to your question, it's really about aligning with organizations who see your value, who see your mission, and are willing to work with you in their country and to kind of cross partner. Yeah.
I have a sense that that has been fairly easy for you. I just get a sense that who you are as a person, that I can just kind of see these conversations. Like I know when you and I first met, like it was just so easy to talk with you, and your vision is just so strong about what it is that you want to accomplish. And I can't imagine that there isn't anybody that wouldn't be like, sure, let's partner. I'd
Yeah.
love to work with you.
No, of course, and it comes from just being a people person, right? I'm very good on engaging and I'm a people person. So if I visit a country, if I'm invited to speak somewhere, bet bet I will be in, building a relationship where I can now say, hey, this is what I'm doing over here. Who can you connect me with that's doing the work that I'm doing so that I can connect with them and kind of collaborate on some things. And so it's really all about getting in the right doors, connecting with the right people, and then seeing where the alignment is. And so that's just really how it's been, in most of my programs that I do, some in Belize, I have ties there. So it makes it a little bit easier there. Some of the work that I do in Africa, I have ties there as well. So it makes it a little bit easier there too. And so it's really about building those relationships first and then now seeing how can we work together, or
Sure.
how can my organization work with your organization, and continue the work that we're doing together.
Good. Sounds listen, it's there's something about not reinventing the wheel when you
Right,
don't have to,
exactly.
and we are powerful together.
Absolutely. I love that.
So, for sure.
Yes.
So when you talk about impact in terms of the girls and what you're looking for and outcomes in your organization, what does that look like?
Yeah, so it's really all about the mentorship piece and ensuring that these girls have a really great future ahead. Ensuring that they have the right tools that they need, the mentorship, the encouragement. A lot of girls don't have that. I remember when I was growing up, of course we have school, we go to school every day, you get the
Mhm.
academics, but you don't really get that mentorship. And I think at an early age, it's really good. These girls, they need encouragement and and just to help them with with life skills, whether that's the financial literacy piece, to help them understand, it's really good to learn financial literacy at an early age, what that looks like, because I didn't learn it at an early age.
Right. I don't
So
think any of us did
yeah,
at an early
so
age.
just being able to teach them those key essential life skills now, the impact really is for me to see them, do well in life, whether they, again, have a career path that they're on. I have some girls that I work with that they want to be, a, they want to own their own like their own dentist business, and dentistry. Some want to be engineers. I mean, they have these huge, amazing goals and dreams, and I'm so proud of them at that age to already start having those conversations.
Yeah.
And so just to be there with them along on that journey, whether it's supporting them through college or it's helping them through school or
Mhm.
guiding them and giving them the mentorship and encouragement that they need. And then hearing from the parents, that's the rewarding part of it. It's like they're on this way to success. They're on their path and you've been a part of that journey. And I love that.
Sure.
That's what it's really all about.
That's
Yeah.
gotta feel so good.
Yeah, and I don't even care if later on in life they don't remember my name. I just want them to know that, what, there was a lady that every year, every 3 months or whatever the case is, came and poured into us and reminded me of my power, of how
Yep.
amazing I am and how strong I am and that I can be anything I want to be. Like that's the legacy part right there.
Yeah. Sure. And I can't imagine that they're not gonna remember your
Oh.
name. For sure. So, and in terms of the program, Dr. Teresa, can you share a little bit about what that day to day looks like? Like, what is good mentorship for your girls? Like, what does your program look like for them?
Yeah, so it's called Empowerpreneur. And we have one coming up next week. But it's really all about getting them together. I try to do it quarterly, like every 3 months, just to keep that engagement going, keep the momentum going, keep the energy going, and so that they don't feel they don't lose steam or lose
Mhm,
momentum,
mhm.
right? And so it's really all about inviting inspirational speakers like yourself, somebody who can pour into them on different topics. This month we're focusing on mental well-being, empowerment. When the world tells you no, still show up, and so these key important topics, and just again the empowerment piece and reminding them of having that self-confidence that they need in
Mhm.
life. I think right now with everything that's going on in the world, sometimes, I mean, we live in such unprecedented times, and sometimes our mental well-being is affected. And so it's really important to kind of figure out like what program or what topic I want to cover throughout um during a particular session that we have. So for
Sure.
this session that's coming up, it's definitely going to be on mental well-being. Just speaking with some of the parents, they said that this is something that's really needed. And
Sure.
I love to partner with the parents too, just to kind of check in to see, hey, it's been 3 months. The last time I saw the girls were in November. Now it's 3 months again. I'm bringing them all back again just to reconnect. And the feedback is that would be great. What are the topics? What are you discussing this time around? And when I discuss what it's going to look like, and they're like, they need it. This is the time that they need to be talking about mental well-being and some other key things. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. I know the last time it was just such a great event. You could really see it's so funny because you could see how the girls walked in and they were all like a little on the shy side, a little awkward. But then, they kind of recognized each
Each other.
other and started talking. And then all of a sudden, like they were this group that
Right.
has this bond together. So you
And
could definitely
yeah.
see that.
And there's always like newcomers, and which I love because it means it's growing. And so someone is saying, hey, listen, you haven't been to any of these events. We were there last week, last session. You need to come, tell your daughter. So the word gets around and the girls are empowered by it. So this last session that you were at, there were some new faces that I haven't seen. And
Yeah.
just because the word is getting around, like you need to be empowered, come to the session. It's really
Yeah.
amazing.
Who doesn't want to get poured into just a little
Right.
bit more? So speaking of which, can you talk a little bit about what you do in terms of self-care and taking care of you so that you can continue to show up for these girls the way that you do? And from a day-to-day perspective, but also just in terms of your mission, because um it can be a little challenging. And as you just described before, there's a lot of moving parts to
Right.
being in a nonprofit and getting the funding and doing all of that kind of stuff. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. So I meditate every morning. I wake up at a certain time of the day. I set my alarm. Sometimes, we have our alarms and it's set to just, hey, it's your alarm, wake up. But mine has like a specific message on there.
oh,
So if
okay.
it's 7 a.m. and it's going to say meditation alarm, or if it's 8 a.m., walk,
Okay.
9 a.m., drink water, whatever it is, exercise. So, I try to do that so that I'm on a routine, like a daily habit. And it really helps me. It keeps me focused. It keeps me in line with what I have already planned for the day so that I don't lose track or, because we get so busy, oftentimes we keep, things shifting our day every day. It's like it's so easy to fall off track.
Yes, it is. What are the three things I must get done today?
Right, right. And so I find that it's easy when you set those alarms and label them.
hmm
So that really helps me in my day to day, in regards to self care. Meditation is really big for me. Prayer, and walking. Those things really help me to keep my day going, to keep my mind clear and focused, and just start my day off feeling great
Yeah.
with those key things that I do every day.
I will tell you that I agree 100%. Having a morning routine and having some meditation, stillness, prayer, however that looks, and that could look different day to day, and some movement, some water, and a lot of gratitude.
Lots of gratitude. Without that, I mean, oh my goodness. But gratitude is so key.
Yeah.
It's extremely important, extremely important. And the second part to the question was, I'm sorry, if you can repeat the second part.
If I remember correctly, I think the second part was, no, I don't remember.
It's fine.
Was it the community question? How did you go from it be no, because it was self care.
Yeah, it was self-care. So I think I answered the
Okay.
self-care part.
Um, what are some of the boundaries that you've put up for yourself that help you with that self care as well?
Well, as a mom, a mom of teenagers,
Bless your heart.
you think as they get older, they're more, Independent. And of course I would say that they are. I would probably say about 90% of the time, but they all it's always like mom this, mom that. And so I always make sure that they're aware of the time that I've allocated for certain things.
Mm,
Like here's the hours that I've allocated for mom, self-care time or, my office time. And then these are things that you guys are gonna that time frame are times that you're gonna have to navigate on your own. If you need me, if it's not an emergency, you're fine.
right.
But here are the times that I've allocated that I cannot be disturbed.
Okay.
And so I think just those boundaries with at home um also falls in line with also outside of home, like I'm not available at these times. And I think when you really let that be known
Hmm.
and you don't have to explain your why behind it, but I think once you have people that respect your time and your boundaries, it's like, okay, she's working on something or she's doing something, she's already said that she's not available at this time, let's leave that alone. And I think people know the work that I do. It's, and the always in the community, always pouring into, our youth and always busy. So I'm sure they understand that, hey, she has to have boundaries.
Yes.
There's a time for, you know, hanging out. There's a time to reconnect. There's a time to reset. And then there's that time where you just need to just turn everything off.
What I love about what you're saying is that you're also training them. Like you're setting the boundaries, but you're keeping that boundary. And so
Absolutely.
because you do keep those boundaries and you don't almost like don't have to set them again because people know. They
Correct.
know what to expect. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
because that can be a little challenging sometimes for us when we're people pleasing and just taking care of everybody not to keep those boundaries.
Correct.
So that can be really easy. So
I agree.
good to see that that is not something that you have issues with. So,
It can be
um,
challenging.
I bet. And I guess from the standpoint of, this show is about kind of helping to hear your story because I feel like everybody has a story and everybody has the ability to make a difference.
Absolutely.
And for me, um, my goal is to just really help raise consciousness around how powerful we are and that we get to really create the life that we want. And so there's always going to be challenges around that. And so how do you navigate those? Like, you've had quite a number of them, but you seem to have this thing called resilience, where no matter what is happening, you just kind of refocus. So, can you talk a little bit about what that is for you?
Yeah, and that's a really important word, resilience. I use it all the time because I strongly know that I'm a resilient person. And just again on this journey, just an entrepreneur, a mom, just everything that you go through in life, sometimes there'll be ups and downs, and it's oftentimes a roller coaster that,
Huh?
you battle things behind the scenes that no one even knows about. And that's just life. I know there's so much stuff that I deal with behind the scenes that no one would even know, because I'm just so, a motivational speaker, encouraging others. I could be going through the worst moments of my life, but still encouraging somebody and pouring into others at the same time. And no one would know, right? But I think the biggest thing for me is just my faith and knowing that I'm on a purpose-driven mission. It's like a kingdom assignment for me.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, it's definitely a kingdom assignment for me. And so even when I'm knocked down, I'm always lifted up. Like God is like, I'm just telling you, I know, and I'm speaking from my personal experience of just the strength that's been given to me when I'm down, and just doors that are open that opens for me when I feel like they've all shut down, like they've closed,
Mm.
and so, and it's only, I know that it's God. So because I know that I'm on purpose driven mission, and when things don't really work out, I know it's gonna work out. It never fails.
That is so interesting because that is what it takes at the end of the day. So One of the things that I teach in terms of manifestation is being very clear about what our vision is.
Yes.
Knowing without a doubt that this is what we're supposed to be doing and that
Mhm.
we are supported in that mission. And so, to your point, when you know that on such a cellular level of like, this is what I'm meant to do, this was God given, this is my mission, that you're right. No matter what, you know that it's just part of the process.
Of course, yeah.
And in being part of the process, it means that, this too shall pass and we'll, move on to the next thing.
Absolutely. And I'm a firm believer that our story always gets us to our glory.
I love that. Say that
Yeah.
again.
Our story gets us to our glory.
Yeah.
So you can have you can have a really great story, you could have a really horrible story while you're on your journey. It could be up, it could be down, and I've experienced it all. I've been through the mud, I've been like, but it gets you to your glory. And that's when you give God the praise. It's like you're doing all of the work for Him regardless, right? And so you'll always find a reason to glorify Him, regardless of whether it's up or down. And that's the story. That's how your story, gets to its glory. You have to have a story to tell.
Yeah. And so, how would you say you impart that to your girls? Because that is such a key thing. Like, yes, it's important to teach skills and mindset and self esteem and all of those things. But there's that resiliency that we're talking about, which is that no matter what is happening, it's just the knowing that we're where we're supposed to be. It's all working for our highest good. It's all in alignment with where we're going because it can be really challenging at
Of
times.
course it can. But when you put God in the mix and you don't leave Him out of it, and you speak about the work that He does in your life, even though when you don't see it or believe it, that changes everything. It changes everybody's mindset. Like, really? Like, and then also when you talk about your testimonies and that you're proof of it,
Mhm.
it kind of like hit a light bulb.
Sure.
Yeah, because I'll always talk about Him regardless of a horrible situation or a good situation, because I always come out of it shining because I know that He was working behind the scenes for me.
Right.
And so I kind of instill that, and even with my children and, the girls and the people that I pour into, whether the girls, the women, that's just a big part of my faith, just giving God praise for everything that He does each and every day.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Um, yeah, like without him, like how does it all make any sense? So I totally get that.
And again, I'm on a kingdom assignment. So,
I love that.
that's the,
Like I have been given the assignment. This is it. Do not waver from it.
yes, for sure.
So if there was someone who's on day one of entrepreneurship and they want to create massive impact, What what should they focus on? Like, what would be your recommendation for how to get started?
If they're on an entrepreneurship journey and they want to create massive impact, first it's really good I mean, as an entrepreneur, it's really good to narrow down what you really want to focus on, because we oftentimes find ourselves doing so many different things.
Mhm.
For me also, I have a book on entrepreneurship. It's on Amazon. It's like the blueprint to get started on,
Mm,
how to network, how to find investors, how to build a collaborative relationship with others, just everything you need to know as an entrepreneur, how to unleash your entrepreneurial success, and just what that looks like from the ground up, right? And so,
perfect.
yeah, and so,
And we'll put that in the show notes. So
yeah, so
folks
that
can
that
look
book,
for that.
yeah, so that book is a really great. I poured my heart into it, my experiences, my education, everything, into helping others who may just have a 9 to 5 and haven't really thought about being an entrepreneur, but may want to start something on the side and start their own business. This kind of gives you like that blueprint of how to get started.
Okay,
It's
perfect.
phenomenal. Yeah. So it's on Amazon. But that's, I definitely would say that's one of the things. And also to make impact, it's really to just, number one, first believe in yourself
Mhm.
as an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs sometimes entrepreneurship can be challenging and we give up so easily, but you have to believe in yourself and know that there's someone out there that needs, whether it's your product, your service, there's somebody out there that needs what you have to offer,
Yeah. Well, it
and
goes back to if you have this desire, it's because there's a need.
right.
You didn't have that placed on your heart without having the things that you need, A, on the receiving side, or even in terms of yourself to make it happen.
Correct. Correct.
Like,
So
even though you may not have it, you have the ability to network, to collaborate, to do all these things to involve others. So that, because I heard that it's not a solo deal. It takes a village, huh?
it does. It really does take a village for sure. Cause I can't remember where I believe obviously on social media, but somebody was saying that entrepreneurship, it's like a spiritual thing because
Oh, yeah.
sometimes if you don't see a customer for a week, you can be really depressed. You could feel like you're not doing well. You can lose, momentum. You could lose faith. You could just, and so entrepreneurship takes you on a roller coaster,
Yeah, it does.
and so it really is a team effort. It's really about having the right people around you.
Yes.
And I think when you do have the right people around you, you make even a bigger impact.
I agree. There's something about, I just heard it just the other day, and might have been my friend who was sitting here. It's something about one of the things that's really important is to surround yourself with people who are even smarter than you are.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
I thought that was great because, yeah, you know, all of us together can really make an impact. Yeah, for sure. All right. So I have a question. How did you come up with the name Girls of Color Takeover? I love that. Such a great name.
Wow. So, uh, it was the year that I went on a mission trip to the Philippines.
Okay.
And so when I came back from that mission trip, I wanted to go back so badly because I, was working with girls out there and they had so many dreams and so many goals and wanted to just change the lives for their family. But one of the things that they had a challenge with was, of course, the financial piece, right?
Hmm.
I was like, I just need to be able to do something and go back. And when I came back from that trip, around that same time, my daughter had got sick. I wasn't
Hmm.
able to go back. She, had to have surgery and then I was also watching the pageants at that time as well. I was home relaxing and I think it was Miss USA, Miss Miss World, Miss America,
Right.
all that stuff was going on. And it was a girl, every winner was a girl of color. And it was like, okay, wow, like this is the year where I see like now there's girls from different backgrounds and nationalities winning these pageants and, Miss Universe, Miss World. Every one of them was a girl of color. I was like, wow, like, well, go back a little bit to my daughter, recovering from everything she was going through, just being able to really just take back her life because
Yeah.
they were saying that she wasn't going to make it, so taking back her life, these girls taking over these pageants. And I was just like, wow, girls of color take over. We're taking over and it was just like, and again, remember when we talk about of color, we're talking about the entire spectrum of,
Sure.
but it was just like a phenomenal moment that year. And I went back and forth with a couple names actually, and that was the one that really stood out the most.
Yes.
And it's really about reminding everyone that when we, of color is that spectrum,
Yeah.
because we can't leave out, you know,
It's a
the
beautiful
the
spectrum.
Philippine yeah, so it's a beautiful spectrum to your point.
Yeah.
Yes, perfectly said.
Absolutely. So, where do you want to see Girls of Color take over in 5 years? What do you think?
The goal is really to impact 1 million girls of color around the world. And that's, I know it's a huge number, but there's nothing impossible, God,
Right?
right? So again, just continuing to be able to reach them where they are, get out there in the world and make an impact, make a difference. So that's the number that I'm shooting for, and to change lives. And um again, I want to be able to take girls to different parts, like travel,
Mhm.
the girls from the US to another continent and vice versa, bring everybody to different places
Sure.
and
To really explore the different
explore.
cultures
Yes,
and what I think is pretty awesome is that, as the organization grows, like you're providing opportunities for the girls that you serve to serve your mission as
of
well to
course. Yeah.
continue to bring that to a bigger and bigger platform.
Yeah, and they become ambassadors too.
Hmm.
So like the ones that are now no longer in the program or that are off to college or whatever, they're now becoming ambassadors so that they can come back to help out with the newcomers.
Sure.
And I just love that.
I think that that's so powerful.
Hmm.
'Cause it's powerful in terms of you, but then when you have these young women who have benefited and you can see clearly how their lives have changed and how they've been able to really a- adopt and become all that they can be as a result of what they were given. And as I love the phrase that you use, having been poured into.
Right.
Yeah, that's super powerful about how just exponentially that can grow.
Correct. And then, it's generations to come, right? Because the ones that I'm serving now, they'll have kids that are going to be coming
Yeah.
up. And so, down the line, they'll be pouring into them. So this is going to be something for generations to come.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and to your point, what a beautiful legacy,
Correct.
to leave behind.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So, if there's one message, we'll close with this. If there's one message that you would want to place in the mind of every girl that you serve, what would it be?
I mean, it's the one that really resonates a lot with me, is to always know your worth.
Mm,
That's so important these days, because oftentimes especially now, we can feel a certain way about ourselves just by being on social media, and just, whether it's body positivity or just not feeling good enough or looking good enough or not feeling like you belong. And so it's to know your worth and know that you belong.
in any room that you walk into.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love how you have demonstrated that and are a beautiful example of that.
Yes. For
So,
sure. Thank you.
well, thank you, Dr. Teresa.
Thank
I
you so much
so
for having
enjoyed
me.
having this conversation. I
Absolutely.
just think the work that you're doing with these girls is phenomenal. And I'm so excited to get to support you and be part of that.
Yes, absolutely. I would love that. And, there's so much more work to be done.
Hmm.
And of course, it takes a village to raise a child. So all the support that I can get to make a difference, it's just it's just heartening. I was just hearing that there's some girls in St. Petersburg that have never even crossed over to Tampa, or vice versa, so getting them out of their four walls to see, even if it's another city,
Right, right.
the work, to see the world, to see other areas, and to know that, wow, there's other, ways of.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless.
Endless.
Yes. And the
Absolutely.
more that you can expand where you are, the more that you can sort of,
Learn,
yeah,
grow,
yeah,
the knowledge. Like, it's just so much work to be done. So
yes.
that's the mission I'm
Well, I'm
on.
excited to support you in any way that I can.
Thank you so much.
So thank you.
Such an honor to be here. Thank you.
Aw. Well, it was an honor to have you. So
Thank you.
great.